Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Rockwood, and welcome to another PureDriven podcast. I'm joined today with Christopher Swanson, the CEO of PureDriven. How are we doing today, Chris?
Oh, Steve, it's a great day at PureDriven.
It is. It's actually, the sun actually poked through today a little bit. I was at the Quick Trip, and the cashier working goes, "Oh my goodness, is that the sun?" And
I'm sure that people are feeling this way all across the country, but it feels like the last 3 or 4 days have been pretty cloudy, especially here in Minnesota.
They have been very cloudy, which I'm not opposed to. I have a very windowed house, so I like being able to keep the windows open and not have the sun blaring on me all day. But
That's great.
The cats love the windows too much for me to close them up. So
come February, March, you'll be just desperate for sun.
Oh yeah. Yep, I need the vitamin D in my system. Well, today we are going to talk about the importance of SEO, especially when it comes to multi-location or franchise businesses. And SEO is search engine optimization. I'm sure most of us know that. And over the years, we talked a little bit about it on a previous podcast about how local search is becoming very important and local SEO is even more important. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris. Why is SEO important?
This is an oldie but a goodie, right? I mean, we've been talking about that. I just smiled. I'm thinking about, man, SEO. That might have been like one of the first terms back, I don't know. It's probably been 15 years now. I'm reminiscing. I'm kind of falling back into this glory days thing.
Yeah, I went to college for marketing. I graduated about 4 years ago, and I think SEO is the only internet marketing term that we ever touched. I'm pretty sure it's the only one we touched.
I'm sure that college has changed that by now, 4 years, but it's kind of a fun thing to kind of reminisce about. This is really cool. Search engine optimization, Steve, is still as relevant as ever. Obviously, the algorithms have changed so much. I mean, I remember the days where you could literally get ranking for one keyword, and it was almost ridiculous because the algorithms didn't really understand where you were coming from. They weren't as sophisticated in knowing, that you're in, a town in Minnesota and maybe your business is in Texas or whatever it might be.
Yep.
And so the algorithms have changed. Of course, they've tried knocking out anybody who's done backlinking or any of what we call the black hat stuff.
Black hat SEO.
Black hat. All these terms are coming back to me. It's fun. But it is relevant. I mean, we just had this conversation the other day about website management. If you're a multi-store location, it's very important to understand this concept. SEO can really drive a tremendous amount of natural search for you on your SERP page, your search engine result page. And so very important that you understand the infrastructure of your website and how you're setting that up to gain that traffic. Just some quick examples. If you're thinking about building a website with a high-level domain and you have that domain already you've owned for many, many years, or maybe it's a brand new domain as a franchise or a brand. What you have to understand is that if you're building multiple locations, retail locations, restaurant locations, gas locations, whatever it might be, you can actually get a lot more local value from a search engine optimization standpoint if you build that website in a way where each one of those locations has dedicated pages within that higher level domain.
Yep.
And that's kind of the big message that I want to share today, because we deal so much and we're so hyper-focused on local marketing. We understand that it's extremely valuable if somebody is doing a Google search and they Google, for example, gas station or gas or restaurant or food, and you're one of the Google My Businesses that pops up, that local search directory. When they go to click on the website to learn more information, it's going to drive them to a website URL that's relevant to the information that person's looking for. But actually, it does even more because Google looks at that information and says, wait, this is exactly what I want to show this individual. And one of the most popular searches now is people are saying burgers near me or food near me or whatever it might be near me. They're using those keywords.
Yep.
And we know that that's a powerful thing because if you have a website that matches up and Google's bots or Facebook or whatever is looking at that information and they see that website and they go across that, they'll actually grab information out of that website and show that on the local search directory, like the Google My Business.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're actually giving yourself a much larger opportunity to be found in the ranking naturally and organically using that search engine optimization. So it's a little different. You have to understand the lay of the land. You have to understand the infrastructure that you need to build. But by doing that and getting hyper-focused on all those pages locally within your high-level domain, you actually gain a huge advantage over people that might have only one website.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, back in the day, SEO, people would just try and rank for anything. I mean, it didn't really have to be industry specific. They would just rank for anything to try and get people to their website. But now Google really wants you to only focus on what you do and what the value is that you bring to customers. So SEO's changed a lot in the way that it's almost like a branding thing where you're basically telling Google about your brand through your website. And you're basically saying, this is what we offer. This is who we offer it to. Please bring those people to me.
Yeah, there's this old saying, I've done a lot of speeches in my life, and there's a saying, know your audience.
Yep.
And as marketers, we need to know our audience. Our audience isn't always the customer or the client. Mm-hmm. Our audience can be the technology.
Yep.
And I think that's what you were trying to say.
Yep.
I think it's very important that everyone understands that you don't just build this stuff. And I think everybody's probably hopefully already there. If not, you need to get there quick. But you don't just build this stuff for the potential customer and the content and the copy that I'm putting on here and the creative is going to really get a person excited, a human excited. You have to get the algorithm excited and the technology excited.
Yep. So there's a lot of tags and descriptions and things that are sort of hidden in the back end that the customer or the user is never going to see, but that's really what's getting crawled. If you look at a scan of your website on a tool that will kind of showcase the issues on your SEO, you'll often find you have hundreds of blog articles or pages that are missing all these descriptions and things that the algorithm's actually looking for. Yeah,
and I kind of liken that. I don't know if you've ever had a chance, Steve, in your life to say you have a garage that's messy or a closet that's messy, or maybe it's a friend's, and then you're able to help them kind of get that all really nice and clean. And it just feels so good, and from messy to clean.
Yep.
And maybe it's just a closet or whatever it might be. But that's one of the things, the first steps you want to take. If you're asking, what are the practical things I should be doing with my website for the SEO value, is you should really be taking a look at using some of these tools that are out there. Okay, what is it exactly? Do I have broken links? What does my tagging look like? What do my image, naming structure look like? And so on. There's a bunch of little things that you can do to kind of clean that up. Yeah. And when you're done with that, you'll feel good about yourself because you'll have a really clean website in the back end where nobody really actually sees it.
Yeah.
But you'll actually do a lot for the algorithms. You'll get them excited because we know making changes, just basic changes to things on a website. Again, don't set it and forget it. Actively manage it. That SEO actually will go up. Your search engine ranking will go up, and you'll be found more often on that first search engine result page.
Yeah, definitely. And then kind of on your note there of the garage, if you're a new business or you're making a new website, do the SEO scan early in the development before you start making all those blog posts, because just like your friend with the super messy garage, if you would have come in there before he put stuff in his garage and showed him how to organize it as he put stuff in, it'd be a lot easier. So if you can show them, if you can make your website first, scan it, and then put those blog posts in the way they're supposed to with all the information, it's way easier. But that's usually not how it's going to work.
I'm still stuck on getting my garage cleaned. I'm sorry. I'm back there. I'm getting a little nervous now because the weekend's coming. So hopefully my wife doesn't hear this podcast before the weekend is up.
This is true. But we live in Minnesota, right. So it's either the weekend or the winter first.
No, your point, Steve, is spot on. If you can do some of these things early on, be proactive, you really get a better chance of being successful in the development of that site. Also make sure that you're putting in, there's tools out there that you can use. They're very readily available on the web. A lot of them are free or very cost efficient. So really upfront kind of thinking that through saves you a lot of potential problems in the future or in the background.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're a multi-location where you're trying to build, 500 locations worth of content, and then you find out a year later that you did it in a way that isn't going to show up well on search engines or just isn't working. And then you just pretty much have to go back to the drawing board and go, okay, I wish I would have done that a year ago because we're going to redo everything.
Yeah, that is exactly. It gets expensive,
Right.
And my only thing is just three things. One is really think, like you said, think ahead of time. Kind of just a little bit of a thought process on SEO, and as you're building that site out, what should the structure of that site be? Look at making those active changes, and then make sure you're checking back every so often and cleaning things up. Those are probably the big three things that you really want to be focused on to have success with search engine optimization today.
Yep.
And then the last thing is just know your audience.
Yep, definitely. And then the final thing I'm going to mention is SEO is kind of like the stock market. It's always changing, but there's usually not huge changes. But when there are, you definitely want to pay attention. But as long as you're kind of keeping tabs on it, you'll know when there's a huge change to the algorithm. The internet basically goes in uproar, so you will find it.
Yeah, just the pages as you are busy with people in your industry, you'll know when everybody's kind of freaking out. But I think things are, like you said, I love that things they're not making major adjustments anymore.
No,
unless there's some disruptive technology that's in the near future. I think we'll probably be kind of doing this for a little while.
Yeah, and actually on that note with the technology, we will talk about voice search and SEO in a near podcast, because I know we've been getting a lot of questions about voice search, and if you look at the statistics and infographics and things about voice search in the future, it's looking like it's going to be pretty powerful. So
awesome.
We'll talk about that in the future here,
Oh yeah,
Chris.
absolutely. I'd love to talk about that on a podcast, because as we are watching trends within marketing, definitely it's the technological thing, the changes that are being made, or the innovative changes that are being made that are going to change as marketers what we have to be aware of.
Yep, I was going to type a question on my phone yesterday, and my wife goes, "Why are you typing it? Just ask Google." And then she asked our Google Home, so it's already made its way into our household. Well, that's all I got for you today, my friends. Thank you for joining me, Chris.
Thank you, Steve. This was a great discussion, and thanks for bringing me back down memory lane.
Yeah, it was good. We just have to put the black hats back in the closet and put the white hat SEO hats on nowadays. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you soon. Have a good one, everybody.